Good morning, and thank you for watching today's video by Practical Devotional. Today we're going to continue our talk about Satan. Who is he? Who is our enemy? He is our enemy, and his desire is to see our destruction. So who is Satan? Today we look at him. He's the tempter. Twice we see him in Scripture tempting a very real setting, a very real situation that's described to us. One is in Genesis, and the other is described in the book of Matthew and the book of Luke. First, in Genesis, he appears as a serpent to Eve. And what does he do? He tells her, gives her makes the fruit look appealing, and he tells her a little bit of a twist on what God has said. Did God really say? Calls into question. And he proceeds to tempt Eve into sin. Makes it look really good. The next one is in Matthew and Luke, where he tempts the Lord. And he shows the Lord three different scenarios. And he says, even one time, quoting Scripture, where the angels will lift you up and make it where you won't hurt yourself if you jumped from here. And then Jesus, every time, answered with Scripture. Now, how does that apply to you and I? Here's what way it applies. We get tempted all the time. And sin always looks good. Immorality? Well, that's fun and enjoyable. Buy something that you don't have the money for and stretch yourself. Looks great. Enjoy it now. We want it now. And so the temptation is real, and the temptation is strong. And Satan plays to our desires. How do we overcome? We overcome the same way Jesus did. Every time tempted, Jesus answered with Scripture. He said, "It is written, it is written, it is written." That's one way. But do we have Scripture for every single temptation? We do, but we may not have them at the ready. Another way we say no to temptation is to practice saying no. You know that girl or that guy are going to tempt you. You know how they're going to tempt you. No, in your mind, play it over, even out loud, over and over again. Say no and figure out how you're going to get out of the temptation. If you figure out how you're going to get out of the temptation ahead of time, and you know your enemy, and you know where you are weak, then the temptation can come, and you can overcome. Number 3, step back and have a plan for your life. What's the big plan? Well, I can't go to India as a missionary if I put myself in so much debt that I can't get out of debt. Now I realize God can do whatever he wants to do, but God's not a theater puppeteer and pulling all the strings. God does not always get us out of our consequences that we live ourselves into. And I can give you more extreme consequences, but just trust me on this one. God does not always get us out of our own consequences. Opportunities come up. We can't go into those opportunities. Why? Because we have lived ourselves into consequences that we just can't get out of. So it hinders you. My point is, realize God's call on your life and God's purpose for your life, and it helps you when the tempter comes. Will temptation come? Yes, it will. And if I were to tell you my whole story, you'd be like, oh my gosh, you've yielded to some temptation sometimes. Yes, I have. And I can tell you the long-lasting effects. So I want to warn you ahead of time. Know the Scripture, practice saying no, and know the purpose for your life so that you will look back and have a life that is fulfilled and where you have seen, where you have overcome the tempter's vises, if you will, the tempter's snares, where you have not taken the bait that the tempter has offered. Thank you for watching today's video. Would love to hear your comments.